What's up, YouTube? So tonight, me, Josh, and Luke are all gonna go see Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This is the film, actually the second film I was most excited for coming out this year, right after Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out mystery. Super excited for this one. Mission Impossible is one of the most consistent film franchises out there, especially the fourth film onwards. Some people would say the films get better and better as they go on, and I'm one of those people in that ballpark, with my favorite being the seventh film, Dead Reckoning Part 1. One of the most fun films I've ever watched. 2.5 hours just flies by. I think this was a great first part to this two-part conclusion to this epic series. I thought Dead Reckoning Part 1 did a great job setting up everything, and I'm so interested in seeing how they finish that storyline in this film and how they conclude this franchise, because I believe this is going to be the final film in the franchise. Super excited to see how they wrap everything up, how they conclude this story, how we say goodbye to these beloved characters, and to see if this is my new favorite Mission Impossible film, to see if this one overtakes Dead Reckoning Part 1, which we will find out in my Mission Impossible Films Ranked video, which will hopefully come out only a couple days after this video is uploaded. So now I'm gonna head off to the fancy, bougie, expensive theater Josh likes to go to. We're gonna watch the film, and Josh and Luke are probably gonna have little to no idea what's going on because I don't think they've seen all the previous Mission Impossible films, but we will all give our reviews afterwards. It's gonna be a great time. See y'all after. All right. Josh.
What's up, man?
What did we just get the heck out of?
We just got out of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, or as I would like to call it, Captain America Tom Cruise. Peggy Carter and Ethan Hunt team up to take down Hydra. Wonderful stuff. You love to see it.
You love to see it. Love to see it.
My favorite part was when Chris Evans's Captain America came out the background out of nowhere. But on a serious note, we just
Wait a minute, hold on.
Yes.
Are you gonna spoil?
Yeah, I probably will at some point.
Okay,
but I'm not gonna spoil in this part. But I mean,
okay, we'll just give a spoiler alert when
it's somewhat spoilers here, but it's more so. I'm gonna talk about some of like the philosophies of this movie, and I'm also gonna talk about just in general like my thoughts.
Okay.
So
we'll walk down a bit further.
Yeah. So to put into perspective for the audience, my whole thing about Mission Impossible.
This is the first one you've seen.
This is the first Mission Impossible I've seen, which is the last Mission Impossible. I have a weird trend in my life where that happens so much. Where Game of Thrones is this huge mega show. The only episode I saw of Game of Thrones, the very last episode of Game of Thrones. Very last movie of Mission Impossible just so happens to be the only movie of Mission Impossible that I've seen in its entirety. There's some that have followed. I think I saw Fallout, like the beginning intro scene, where he's like in the hospital and he fakes him out with the nuke thing, and they get the guy to spill all that info.
Yeah.
That's like the only part of any Mission Impossible film I've seen prior to this. And with that being said, I thought the film was really good. The film had me tense the entire time. There were a lot of great practical stunts. I would love to know how much of that whole interaction in the air was practical and how much of that was CGI.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if that was majority practical, that's insane. I don't know how they would even thought to
Tom
do that.
Cruise
Yeah.
doing these movies recently, he's this man's insane what he does for these films.
Yeah, and it's just like that scene is just such a wild scene. So the film was very entertaining. The film had a nice bit of humor. They kill off a pretty major character pretty early on in the film. Not even just like a major character, it's like one of the like consistent running characters of the Mission Impossible films. And obviously it seems to be centered around, the film seems to be heavily centered around the death of said character and his words and his work. So that was one thing I thought was really interesting. But I think just from a perspective of, was it entertaining? It was very entertaining. It was very enjoyable to watch. It was 3 hours long, checked in at about 180-minute runtime, which I didn't feel it, you know? I think this is one of those weird 3-hour films where I was just like, man, I'm just checked in and I'm interested to see what happens. So I didn't feel any bit of the 180 minutes, and I don't feel like you'll feel any bit of it because it's so tense and there's so much action to keep you interested that honestly it needs to be 180 minutes. So I would say that on that front. Philosophically, So this is an interesting thing that's been brought up to my attention. There seems to be this very heavy archetype in Hollywood right now that has the and this is the archetype. It's like dark female savior archetype of return back to Gaia archetype. And honest to goodness, you actually see this with the film, like the female savior archetype in this film, and it's just like, or it's like apocalyptic female archetype is actually it's actually the more specific version of that archetype, and I was watching a review of Furiosa Mad Max, and I love that film, by the way, but it has that archetype in it with goodness, I don't remember the girl actor's name. Anya
Taylor-Joy.
That's who it is. And yeah, you see that a little bit in this film, and I'm not saying it's I'm just saying that's what is actually in the film.
You mean like she saves the day?
Yeah.
But Ethan
Yeah, but that's not the way they try to paint that joint. They try to paint that joint.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I get it.
That's not what they try to do.
I get it. Okay.
They try to. You're right. You're absolutely right in the fact that Ethan Hunt plays a major role.
But you're saying Ethan was only able to save the day because...
Yes, because... Yes.
Got you.
Female because he's like, I need you. And it's like, okay, we understand. Now, I don't think that's the main thing. But then here's the thing. 95% of this film, I would even say 99% of the film really dang good. The last 1% of the film is absolute garbage. I hate the last 1% of this film. They give me all this action, all this greatness, all of this character development, just everything that you need out of a movie. And then they decide to do that garbage where they start giving me narration out of nowhere. And the narration just starts spewing their own personal philosophies and religions and garbage. And I don't care what you think about these things. Like, I'll be honest, I just don't care what these people say about life because they're freaking in Hollywood and so insulated that they shouldn't even, I don't even know if we can take their opinion that seriously because they're not in tune with reality. They're not. And so one of the things that they say is, because it's playing back this one guy, I won't even tell you who it is, but it plays back this one character, and this character in this voice memo essentially says, you're a good person, you can act with good intent. They had this whole thing about that is written, that is not written. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of truth in the fact that we do have free will and that we do get the ability to make choices, and our choices do have an impact, right? But at the same time, our choices are not just because we will them to be our choices. Our choices are something that is related to our foundation and who we are. So it's like a foundationalist type of approach. So I think there's just some things that were said in that whole entire monologue of garbage at the very end that I didn't care for at all. And yeah, I just think it was a bunch of booty pipe at the end of at the very end of that joint. Like, miss me with your opinions on life. Tom Cruise. It honestly sounded like a bunch of stuff that you would see in Scientology. I don't even know if that's true or not, but that sounded like a bunch of...
Isn't Tom Cruise about Scientology?
Yeah, no,
I've heard.
No, that's why I was saying that, because he is a Scientologist. Yeah. And so he is, it seemed to me that would be something that Scientology would definitely, because their whole thing is about maximizing human potential. And obviously, what is this whole thing? What was the whole thing he said at the end? Maximizing human potential. So I think there's just a whole lot of garbage. Like, you know what I mean? Don't give me that last 1% of the film, please. Don't ever do that again. Actually, you can't do it ever again because this is the final film. But I'll tell you, that 99%.
Nah, dude, they're gonna make a ninth one with like Glenn Powell or Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Or...
No, it'll be an all-female Mission Impossible cast because that's the direction. That's the direction it's going. But the film in general, I thought was pretty good. I think I would give it if I had to give it a rating out of anything, I'd give it probably like a 7 out of 10. Really dang good film.
Okay.
I really like the film. I think the film is good.
Does this make you want to watch all the other ones?
Oh yeah, I'm. That's usually how I go though, unless it's just that bad.
Yeah.
This is a film I definitely want to go back and watch the other ones. I've always thought they looked entertaining. And so yeah, I just thought it was a really solid film. I saw a bunch of critics actually not rocking too much with this film. Like there's a lot of critics who like it, but there's more critics that were not liking it than I expected. Like I saw Rotten Tomatoes had it at 76%. It just goes to show how much these film critics don't know anything about any films whatsoever. They wouldn't know entertainment if it slapped them in the face. I swear sometimes I see some of these Rotten Tomatoes scores and I'm like, how does this person have a credential to even review stuff on Rotten Tomatoes? Like, dude, like people are giving Mickey 17 critics giving it like 90% score garbage like this, or giving the Amateur an 88% score, and I'm like, brother, that film is the worst film I've seen this year. Like one of the worst films I've seen this year. Come on. So that's my also.
I love how you're gonna say was the worst film, then you remembered Sneaks existed.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot that we watched that film. Ooh. I forgot that's how bad that film is. It's like if a film I don't even remember we watched, but I remember it now that you say it. So I just think it was just a whole lot of garbage that they just not the film, but you know what I mean. The Rotten Tomatoes people, I don't know what the heck they're talking about. Like I don't know how you could give this film a 76%. So them people just need to stop reviewing films, I guess. Just get better at reviewing films. Because that film was not a 76%. That film was like easily, like I'd give it my approval rating. It should be a 90% at least. Even though I think it's 7 out of 10.
One last thing, as someone who hasn't seen all the other ones, did you understand most of it? Like all the recapping and flashbacks they did that help you at all?
The recapping and flashbacks did absolutely nothing for me because obviously I don't know anything about what happened in those flashbacks and recaps.
But except like making you like understand that some of these characters have been around for a while.
Yeah, and that's probably the only value it served for me. But I mean, because I saw that Fallout clip, I knew that Simon Pegg's character had been in the films for a while. Same with I forget the gentleman name. He plays in the Dawn of the Dead as well.
Are you talking about Luther?
Yeah, Luther. What's the actor's name? I forget his
Ving
name.
Rhames.
Huh?
Ving Rhames.
Yeah, Ving Rhames. That guy was he was in Dawn of the Dead, an excellent character in Dawn of the Dead, the 04 remake with George Romero. Love that film. But he was excellent, I thought. So yeah, I don't think you have to watch any of the other things to get what's going on. I think if you do, I think it gives you better. It makes you more appreciative more. But you don't have to watch it. So that's my final thoughts.
All right.
Hello there. Hello.
Oh,
hello.
hi.
So
what do you think of this movie? You haven't seen any of the other ones either, have you?
I don't believe so. I may have seen parts of it on HBO when I was a kid, growing up, whatever. But like, I don't really remember that much of Mission Impossible, if I had to be honest. But this one, I gotta say, first of all, not for people with high blood pressure. Probably put you in hypertensive crisis, and possibly heart attack and a stroke.
Oh yeah, no.
You're dead at the end of the movie. But no, you'll probably be all right. But what I'm gonna say is a lot of action, a lot of really quick, flashy things right at the beginning. It just kind of made you got you in the mood of this film going really, really fast with a lot of things here and there, you know. So I would say, yeah, probably if you are clueless in this movie, probably watch the first few of Mission Impossible before watching this movie, if I had to be honest. Also, I think the rest of this might be sort of interactive, since I'm probably going to touch on, I guess there might be a couple of theological concepts in the movie, the entity being Satan, and potentially what felt like Tom Cruise being Jesus, in a sense that he's gonna die and rise again.
Yeah, he's the chosen one.
Yeah. And then the other part, and Josh actually mentioned this off camera, is that there was a potential of that of this film being made with a mind of Kamala Harris being president, given that there was a black lady in the seat, and she was thinking, let's do an attack at that part of that film. So I was thinking that there was kind of that in mind, possibly as they were making the film. What were y'all's thoughts on those last two things I said?
Well, the thing is the reason I thought that too is because Hollywood actually did that recently. So in the film Mickey 17, which I saw earlier this year, you can tell that film is terrible. Okay, let me also give my preference about films real quick. I hate when films get political.
Yeah.
And and I'll even say it like this. I hate it when films prioritize the politics over the actual story, and prioritize their garbage intellectualism over the actual story. And Mickey 17.
See, we need more films like Twisters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
where
actually
it's
agree.
just entertaining. It's just a good story. We can all agree.
Yeah.
It's good.
But the thing with Mickey 17
Nothing
is
political.
go watch Mickey. I highly recommend the audience members watch it one time. If you go and watch Mickey 17, the issue with that film is firstly everything I just said. The whole film is that though. But it's even like you go watch some of this and you're like, this is definitely, they definitely thought Kamala Harris was winning this election. I think it's hilarious. But I don't think it's the case for this film because obviously the Madam President, it existed prior to this.
I'm pretty sure she did. I'm pretty sure she's the person who hired Henry Cavill in the sixth one.
So it made sense to me. And I think just with the theology, going to Luke's point, I think that there was this whole thing about the anti-God. They even said that explicitly, the anti-God and the real God.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, it's kind of going to that point of Satan and God is, I guess, what they're trying to summarize, or Antichrist and God. But I don't know. The thing is like, they were theologizing, but a little bit.
Theologize.
Yeah, they were theologizing a little bit, but they also just, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, they then try to give me their garbage and their garbage worldview at the end, and I just don't care. I just really do not care what you think about what the world is. Like, actually, you know what I mean? Like, if I cared about what the world, I would go and watch a podcast that you're on. I would not go and watch a movie. So miss me with that.
Miss me with that.
Miss me with that, and do better next time.
Do better.
Do better next time. Don't ever do that ever again. Don't ever do that.
Okay. Luke, anything else?
Oh, on to you, Ryan.
Oh, on to me?
What do you think of this film?
What's up?
What are your thoughts on that film, man?
Oh my gosh.
That Mission Impossible film, man.
First thing I need to say.
Was the mission impossible?
I'd say so. Would y'all?
I think theoretically it was impossible.
Theoretically, it was impossible.
Like, especially I'll let you go. I'm sorry.
Okay. First thing I need to say, I have never been so affected by a film. Like, first thing I did when the movie was over and the credits started rolling, I look at Luke and I breathe the heaviest sigh of relief I've ever exhaled, and he goes, right?
I agree.
Oh my gosh.
I saw this man wriggling in his seat. It was hilarious.
He did. Josh, you did. You did. Oh my gosh.
Rolling like it sideways
Mhm.
and sideways again.
I saw that. I saw that.
My gosh. These films, especially this one, does the best job out of all of them. I mean, these films always do a great job of building tension, getting you on the edge of your seat, making your heart race.
Mm-hmm.
This one does hands down the best job out of all of them. The stakes have never been higher. This film was absolutely crazy. The cast did such a great job. Oh my gosh. I'm still coming down from it. Tom Cruise did such a great job. The stunts here are just as crazy, just as awesome as always. My gosh, I really had no idea what was gonna happen next, but the action was great, the cast was great. Spoiler alert, but the death of Luther, really impactful, especially having seen all of the films. I'm trying to think of any issues I had with the film. So like with any Mission Impossible film, there's a few conveniences, I think. There's a few moments where it's like, the Ethan and his team, like, how are they getting their way right now? How is everything working out for them? Now, granted, it's just barely working out, but they're still getting their way. Everything's working out so they can complete their mission.
Mm-hmm.
But some of it is just a bit unbelievable, but I guess it's called Mission Impossible. But that's one thing about all these films. They just have some conveniences, and I'm just like, okay. It wasn't as emotional as I thought it would be. It was emotional, but it didn't evoke as high emotions out of me as I thought. The goodbye scene at the end where they all meet up and look at each other and nod, I was expecting them to do more of an epilogue, but they didn't really do that. Where they all meet up and talk and discuss the next mission, but it's just like, nope, see you later. And and also the thing about Ethan, another thing about these films is like Ethan seems to be the only righteous person on Earth, because everyone keeps saying, oh, you're the only person who can be trusted with the entity once we get it in this tube. You're the only person we can trust to not be corrupted by the power it holds. I'm just like, once again, is that realistic? Like, come on. Like, really? He's human. He might be corrupted by the power. The power might get to him eventually. I mean, I love Ethan's character. I love that he is that righteous, but realistically, no one's that righteous, right? Right,
Yeah,
Josh?
That's Facts.
Not without Christ. Not without Christ. Those are just minor issues for me. It didn't really bother me too much. But this is a great conclusion overall to the Mission Impossible franchise, I feel. So if you're a Mission Impossible fan, definitely go see this. I believe this is the final film in the franchise. I think I'd give this an 8 out of 10, only missing those 2 points because, once again, some things were just like, really? Like, kind of unrealistic a little bit, and, like, Ethan's character and how good of a person he is. Like, I love that, but it's just, once again, unrealistic, and nothing really too emotionally powerful. Like, got me on the edge of my seat, got my heart racing, but nothing really powerfully emotional that I felt that much. But I think that's all I have. You guys got anything else?
Yeah, I got one more thing I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say the thing that you touched on at the very beginning was the way the film builds tension, specifically with the very high stakes. A lot of films build stakes, but they're not. You don't feel any sense of weight behind the stakes because you.
Did you feel the weight?
Because you feel like everybody's gonna survive. See, I like TV shows, anime, or movies where it feels like any character could die.
Did you feel that?
And you know, with this movie, I definitely, like, whenever I saw some of the previous times where he had lost team members, and then I saw just the way that this beginning of this film played out, it just became very clear to me, oh dang, like anybody could really die.
Yeah, that's one thing about this film. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought anybody could really. I thought Ethan was dead at the end.
Yeah, I thought Ethan could die too. So I mean, it's just one of those types of films, where,
Like-
and it's also because it's the final film, so you're always like, okay,
Yeah.
will he actually die?
Real quick, Josh,
Yeah.
like, how did I miss this, or like, how did he get a hold of that parachute and survive at the end? Like,
He probably just had a second parachute. That's
okay.
literally the only explanation.
Yeah, I
He had
just,
a second
like-
parachute. But I'll tell
Okay.
you why I thought all that, even him having the parachute was kind of garbage, because that guy said, "I'm the only one with a parachute," and then he went backwards and got absolutely capped.
Capped.
Yes. Well, think about it. That's what he said, right? He said that,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm the only one with a parachute," and then Ethan Hunt jumped out and deployed a parachute immediately. It's like, how did he find? Like, where the heck was that parachute?
Yeah, a lot of conveniences.
But I mean, at the same time, I don't have an issue with it just because.
Yeah, it's not.
Dude,
'cause-
like, if you really want to talk about conveniences, him literally taking off his suit and swimming upwards from 500 meters down is is the biggest convenience I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's
Like-
one thing about these films.
Mind you, it played out because the entity had showed him that's how it'd play out, and so that was kind of like the whole thing behind it. But he was like flipping the entity on its head. So yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Well, guys, if you guys like this episode,
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I have some news that I want to reveal to you. Well, actually, you might not care. But Josh, so Avengers Doomsday has been delayed again to December 2026.
Oh, it got delayed again. For
Yeah.
When was it supposed to drop?
May 1st, 2026.
Oh, so this
So-
film's gonna be butthole. Is
So-
what he's saying.
No, yes, they want to make it as good as it can be, and like they're filming it right now, so there's no way that
See,
would have come
any-
out in May next
I'm
year.
gonna tell you.
So
Anytime a film gets pushed back in
production, that film is going to be Cheeks Magunda.
not necessarily.
every film I've seen that ever got pushed
Pushed back, always Cheeks Magunda. Now I'm not saying that is
Okay.
the case, but I'm saying most every time. Like I'll say like 95% of the time film gets pushed back is Cheeks. I hope it's not the case for that film because that's a big film.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say that because I'm going through all the MCU films on my channel right now.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was gonna wait and do a whole big ranking once Doomsday came out, but since the delay is like so far away, and since I'm gonna finish that project like so far in advance, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the full ranking once Fantastic Four comes out.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I just wanted to tell y'all that. All right, thank y'all for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Leave your thoughts about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning down below. We would love to have a conversation with y'all about it. Like and subscribe if you enjoy our content, and we will see y'all in the next video.